Hi everybody, I am Dr. Rachana Khanna Singh. I am a stress management, lifestyle, mental wellness and relationship expert. I am a consultant with Artemis Hospital in Gurgaon where I've been practicing for the last 16 years. And I'm speaking to you currently from my clinic, which is the Mind and Wellness Studio in GK1 New Delhi. We've been here for the last 29 years now. And I also do the column for Times of India every week, which is Ask the Expert online section. So there's a little introduction about me. So today we're going to talk a little bit about relationships, specifically romantic relationships. We keep hearing this debate off and on now that there's a changing face of relationships, that relationships are not the way they used to be, and that is why there is so much of chaos also in the new generation and the upcoming generation, their minds as to how to deal with their relationships. Sitting back 20 years ago, we did not have so much of conversation or so much of education about how to deal with relationships, because life was a lot simpler. We were not in the rat race. There wasn't so much of availability, accessibility. With social media today, there's a lot of accessibility to our exes, our other people at our workplace. So there's a lot of gender interaction now, which has become very open. And also, once the Western culture has crept in, it's become very open now. Dating has become very common, which about even 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't there at all. Today we have a whole load of dating apps. In fact, I have been the resident relationship expert to OkCupid for a couple of years, which is a very famous dating app. So we study the patterns of how the society is evolving. So having said that, now I see very often in my clinic also, we do a lot of premarital counseling, a lot of couple counseling. I see very often that the expectations from relationships are changing, and very rightly so, because the mindsets are altering. And today, the faith in the traditional marriage system is coming down, which is also all right, because the requirements of the new generation are different. So when we talk about the new generation, we talk about the millennials, we talk about the Gen Z, and now of course we have a new generation in between, which is the sandwiched generation, which is the zillennials, which has just come up now. So traditional marriages, why are people struggling today in traditional marriages? One is because there are a lot of people now who do not wish to be on the relationship escalator. So relationship escalator is where we are already in a format of a relationship. That means that, well, first I'm going to date, then I'm going to have a spouse, then I'm going to have an engagement, then I'm going to get married, and then I will have children, and so on and so forth. That is a relationship escalator, and there are many people now choosing not to get onto that relationship escalator and enjoy the relationship as it is, and which is why a lot of people today are in situationships as well. Having said that, with the traditional marriage system, we've seen that there is a lot where people today, the new generation, complains a lot about the family and the parental involvement. Also a loss of self, a loss of identity. Today it's become very important for us to view ourselves as a holistic self, as ourself. Earlier days, a generation back or 2 generations back, the concept was to view ourselves as a mother, as a father, as a parent, as a child, at our workplace. So those things defined us completely. Having said that, it's not that those things don't define us anymore, but what defines us primarily now, which even all the spiritual gurus, our scriptures are talking about, is ourselves. So when the individual, there are places when people have started to put the individual more, give it more weightage vis-a-vis the relationship. So thereby the traditional marriage system might not work for a lot of people. A lot of people also express concerns about maintaining their own identity. So the couple goals might be different, and their personal identity might be different completely, or the personal goal might be different completely. We see a lot of people who don't wish to compromise on their finances, don't wish to compromise on their needs, their emotional needs, don't wish to compromise on, let's say people have got jobs in 2 different places, they don't wish to compromise on their job requirements, etc. for their marriages. So thereby people are choosing today to be in very, very different kind of relationships, whether they're in open relationships, whether they are in live-in relationships, whether they are in situationships, whether they are in a deeply committed relationship but without the tag or the label of marriage. So today it becomes important for us to understand what is the changing phase of these relationships today, what is the new generation looking for, because those are our children at the end of the day, and that's what the new India is going to be. That's the new energy, that's the new youngsters. And if we talk to a lot of them don't wish to get married, not necessarily because they've been from broken homes or seen bad marriages, not at all. These are some of the reasons which I stated why they may not wish to be in marital relationships anymore. Having said that, it's not happening only in India. This is the global scenario. Japan talks about the same thing. In fact, China has just recently released a study where they're saying that the newer generation is not interested to get married at all. And in fact, Korea, there is a very important statistics which says that 40% of the people don't even wish to date anymore. They don't wish to be engaged onto the relationship escalator, which is called the Sampo generation. So having said that, this is just for us to understand that what is it that is happening. And in the next series I will also talk to you about why relationships are collapsing. But having said that, I would want everybody to understand that every relationship has typically 4 phases. So the first phase is the romantic phase or the honeymoon phase, which is very exciting, where we end up missing the flaws of each other, and we just see the rosy picture. And then the second stage, this happens mostly in every relationship. The second stage is the power struggle phase, where we are trying to create a balance between both of us. We are struggling to understand how to create a balance, which it is a stage where I feel a lot of people are not now able to sustain that phase, because the tolerance levels are much lower nowadays. The attitude to compromise or the attitude to love is a lot lesser. People have started looking at love as a compromise, whereas that is just not the case. When the word compromise comes, love gets out of the window. So having said that, that's the second phase where I feel people are very struggling, because that's a phase we all need to go through in a relationship to finally find our dynamic straight. Then the third phase is the plateau phase, where now we've kind of had a resolution of the power struggle and found our peace over there. The fourth phase becomes sometimes a decline phase. That means there is a decline in the intimacy or a decline in the satisfaction, and monotony sets in. This happens in long-term relationships. So now what happens? So there are 2 ways now. So either we end that relationship or we maintain. So what we see in traditional relationships is that we end up maintaining that relationship. But what we are seeing nowadays with a lot of the youth is they don't wish to maintain and they want to end. So this is just a little understanding about how we function in our relationships. And the next time now we'll talk about why traditional relationships may not be working in detail anymore, and also that what the newer generation is thinking and how we need to be open enough to envelop what is happening around. So take care and enjoy yourself.